Welcome to It's a Crime. I'm Linda, and today we're going to be talking about the CrimeOnline Letecia Stauch interview. I don't know if you all have seen it, but part 2 just came out. So today I'm going to be focusing on just the rental portion of it. Letecia has stated there has been a lot of online speculation about a rental car, and she wants to clear it up. So she is showing that she rented a car as of January 28th till January 29th, one day after Gannon, her stepson, had disappeared. Before I get into it, please click that subscribe button and click that notification bell. Some people are having issues getting notifications, so make sure that's clicked on. Also, be sure to share this video out and give it a like if you support it. With that being said, let's get into it. So here's what CrimeOnline has stated. It says, there has been some online speculation that Stauch rented a car on the day Gannon disappeared. Stauch claimed the majority of the accusations have come from people who do not have the facts of the case. While she is not disputing that she rented a car, Stauch said she didn't rent the car until Tuesday, January 28th, the day after Gannon mysteriously disappeared. That morning, Stauch said she picked up her husband at the Colorado Springs airport. Both left the airport in the rental car, she claimed. It also says, Stauch said the plan was to look for Gannon in a car that he would not recognize. Stauch added that they didn't know if Gannon would hide from his family cars, thinking he was in trouble. Here are my thoughts on these statements. In the first paragraph where it says, Stauch claimed the majority of the accusations have come from people who do not have the facts of the case. Well, I'm going to point this out first, so anything that I show from here forward will determine if it's a lie or the truth, according to Letecia. So let's try and show the facts according to Letecia's recollection. In the second paragraph, it says, she said she didn't rent the car until Tuesday, January 28th, the day after Gannon mysteriously disappeared. According to these records from Budget Rental, she is correct. She rented this particular car on January 28th at 8:50 a.m. until the next day, Wednesday, January 29th at 1:20 p.m. for a total of 28 and a half hours. She rented a white Kia Rio. And I'll get into more of these details about this car in a minute. The next statement says, that morning, Stauch said she picked up her husband at the Colorado Springs airport. Both left the airport in their rental car, she claimed. Now, in one of the texts I read, Letecia had said that Al's expected to come in between 11:30 and 12:30 that morning. But Letecia rented the car at 8:50 a.m. And that would put her waiting for Al for 2.5 to 3.5 hours if he did get in between that 11:30 and 12:30 p.m. time on Tuesday. So did she drive somewhere in the meantime, which is a question, right? Or did she stay put and wait for Al to get there? And who drove her to the airport? Remember, she mentioned in her most recent statements that she didn't want to use her car because of the mileage and she'd have to pay extra because the car is leased. So she said she has to watch her mileage each month. So the question is, did somebody drive her to the airport that morning, or did she drive her vehicle to the airport and just made that exception? Or did she drive somebody else's car or got a ride? The next paragraph in CrimeOnline says, Stauch said the plan was to look for Gannon in a car he would not recognize. Stauch added that they didn't know if Gannon would hide from his family cars, thinking he was in trouble. Okay, so why not rent the car until you find him then? If you are saying that the plan was to look for Gannon in a car that he would not recognize, then why are you returning the vehicle the next day? Because clearly it's been a month, last I checked, just over, and Gannon hasn't been found. So that kind of contradicts what you're saying, right? Then there was also a quote in the article, and it got me double taking it. And it states this, in quotes, hey, if my son is scared of getting in trouble, he may hide if he sees us. Not to mention it was economical and an easy way to pull in and out because we were going door to door. This feels like this statement is not from Letecia herself, or it's been edited, because she does not call him my son, never, not once, in the whole cajillion things she's been saying online and in interviews. She not once calls him my son. So it makes me think, wait a minute, is that Al saying that? Or is that TECIA saying that? Because it just said Stauch. It didn't say TECIA, or it doesn't say TECIA or L. That makes me wonder. Now, when it comes to them saying about the economical and easy way to pull in and out because we were going door to door, okay, well, I'll give you that a Kia Rio is a lot easier to drive than a big bulky truck. Okay, check. But you see, I did a little math with the mileage and the door-to-door theory. And that is a lie. Unless she went door-to-door for a smidge of time and then started her lengthy adventure. So here's why I say that. The Kia Rio put on 955 miles in 28 and a half hours. It states that it started off at 5 miles, and then when it was returned, it was at 960. Now, some people are saying, I've seen some chatter about, well, that's weird that it started at 5. No, it's a brand new vehicle. It's not weird. I've actually rented a car, I think it was about a year and a half ago, and it started off at 23 kilometers. I'm in Canada, so I'm in kilometers, but it started off at 23 kilometers, so I got a brand spanking new car. It was awesome. So this car put on 955 miles in 28 and a half hours. So I did a little research. And I looked up the speed limits in Colorado, and it said in residential areas, it's 30 miles per hour. Open mountain highways, 40 miles per hour. Rural highways, including 2 lanes and 4-lane divided, 55 miles per hour, and up to 65 miles per hour where posted. Rural interstates, 65 miles per hour, and up to 75 miles where posted. So if she was going door to door with this vehicle as stated, then she would be in residential areas. Agreed, right? So that makes it 30 miles per hour. Well, this is impossible if it was only searching door to door. I'll tell you a few reasons why. Because if she drove 30 miles per hour and didn't stop even for a minute, no bathroom breaks, no stopping at a stoplight, nothing, then it would take her 31 and a half hours going 30 miles per hour. And that's impossible because she returned that vehicle in 28 and a half hours. Not to mention, if you were driving straight for 28 and a half hours, that means you're not sleeping, you're not taking a bathroom break, you're not taking any meal breaks, nothing. Now, I will say there are areas and roadways that are more than 30 miles per hour, and obviously if she's going different routes, some areas will have faster speed limits, so I will give you that. But if we're going on what she's saying and how she's delivering the facts, and if she's going door to door, then she's stopping every door and just being able to pop in and pop out. Well, what does that mean? That means that she's spending less time in the car, not more time in the car if she's actively searching and going door to door. Unless she means going door to door just driving. However, that still doesn't add up. And if you think about them searching door to door, they're going to start at home base because that's where Gannon was supposedly or allegedly last seen, according to TECIA. Now let's take it to the other extremes. The highest speed limit is said to be between 65 and 75 miles per hour. So let's do both. She would have to drive 12 hours and 45 minutes of driving to do 75 miles per hour. So if she was doing 75 miles per hour, that would mean she would be driving for a total of 12 hours and 45 minutes just on the highways doing all that crazy highway driving. Obviously, she said door to door, so that's going to slow her down a little bit. But she has 28 and a half hours to put on these 955 miles, which is no small feat. And if you're doing that in 12 hours and you're not stopping anywhere, and how good can you look? Now, if Al landed at noon, give or take, whether it's that 11:30, between 11:30 and 12:30, it says he landed, then they had 25 hours from that 12:30 p.m. that he landed. They take the vehicle and come back by 1:30 to cover 955 miles. So now they have less time, unless TECIA went somewhere at the 9 o'clock or the 10 to 9 when she first got the car, and then grabbed Al, took him home, and took him for a while. So I wanted to also calculate the other ones because why not? Those are the posted speed limits, right? So at 40 miles per hour, she would cover the 955 miles in 23 hours and 52 minutes. and 55 miles per hour would cover 17 hours and 21 minutes of driving, and 65 miles per hour would be 14 hours and 41 minutes. This is basically no stops. So what are your thoughts and theories about this? I'm very curious to know. Let's chit chat about it. Clearly there's going to be some intermingling and mixing, but I'd love to get TECIA. So TECIA, if you're watching, can you please confirm a few things for us? Because you have room to talk. At what point did TECIA drop Al off at home? Because there was authorities talking to Landon and Al that day, I believe. So he couldn't have been in the car all day and night until Wednesday. And TECIA herself said that she was kicked out of the home and she wanted an apology from Al, and that was from Tuesday. So girlfriend went riding on her own, or somebody else was driving the vehicle. Now, her name is on the budget rental agreement, and they usually, when you go and rent a car, you go and give them your driver's license and whatnot, and then they say, okay, who's driving the car, and whoever's registered on that paper is the one who's driving the car. So let's do a little recap, and I'm going to add a little bit onto it. On Tuesday morning, Landon actually had texted TECIA and said she was leaving with her brother from Myrtle, and can I stay there? And TECIA says she needs to ask Albert, and she also said that either Harley or herself could go pick them up from the airport. And this was around 6 o'clock in the morning, just after 6 a.m. And at 6:35 a.m. she states, I'm heading out with the neighbor searchers. So I'm wondering if she actually went and searched with the neighbors, because if you remember that she said in her interview that she hadn't been able to go out and do that, but she was privately searching for Gannon on her own with her family. And she said also in that interview that she's scared for her safety. So TECIA, if you're watching, which I think you are, can you please, when you do your next interview, can you please tell us which neighbors you were actually searching with? And can you please provide their statement as well to what they're saying and state that they were with you, because that would be great. Thank you. So that doesn't give her much time to search with the neighbors either, does it? If she says at 6:35 she's about to go search with these neighbors, that would give her around 2 hours from 6:30 to 8:30 to search. And then from 8:30 she would have to leave her home about that 8:30, 8:35 mark. It's not too far from the airport from Mandan Drive, but she has to be there by 8:50 because that says when she rented it. And it's about an 11-minute drive from what I saw. Okay, so according to that budget rental, she rented it at 8:50 a.m. and she would have to be out of her house at 8:35, like I mentioned. It takes that 11 minutes, and it takes a few minutes to get to the rental station, right? So give or take a little bit, she'd have to leave at around 8:30. Now, at the same time these texts to Landon were going on, she also had texts going on at the same time, the 6 o'clock to 6:15 in the morning, about Gannon and how he had a tummy ache and he wasn't feeling well and he wasn't at school. And we've seen this text in a couple of my different videos and around, I'm sure, online that you've seen. So what are your thoughts about this rental and where the heck she could have gone? Now, I'm wondering, my own personal opinion, if she had time. Okay, he was stated as a runaway the Monday night, and then Tuesday morning she goes and rents a car. And did she go to a bunch of places where she was double checking things that she needed to double check? I mean, how far could you go at 955 miles? Basically, even if you cut that in half, you have almost 480 miles one way and 480 miles on the way back. So you have a few hours to drive in and around Colorado Springs. Now, I would love to dig into this a little bit further and attach it with the actual searches and do some of my little digging that I do, and see if there's some patterns. But she had to have filled up somewhere, so I'm curious where she filled up this Kia Rio. And I also would love to know where the heck she's gone. The statement about her going door to door, she forgot to keep into account the actual amount of miles she put on. So that debunks her theory about going door to door if it was all night end, she possibly would have had to sleep, right? So if you even take that 8 hours away from being home and going to sleep and then get up again, potentially, then she only had 20 hours to put 955 miles on. So this is absolutely crazy to me. There needs to be some answers for sure. In the press conference, the very first one with Landon and Al, he had mentioned he opened his door on Tuesday, and he says, I think it was Tuesday, so I'll give him that. But he said he thinks that he opened that on Tuesday and there was 300 volunteers. And so that means he was home that time, and we know TECIA was not later. So where were you, TECIA? And where is Gannon? Let me know your thoughts below. Those are mine. There's more coming out in that statement. I'm going to rip it apart. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share. Be sure to like. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.